Welcome back to Yogaxpress, your virtual stretch clinic that helps you move the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. We're back with you today as a team, as a group. We've got all this group energy that we've already built over the last couple of episodes. We don't want to lose it. So we're going to take you through a few more seated postures, possibly some prone postures as well, to help you understand where your focus point should be. And also, with the help of our special guest here, who I'm going to introduce in just a moment, you'll also learn which part of the body you're strengthening, which part you're stretching, and how you're helping yourself, how you're taking care of your health just by doing some simple stretches. This is Jonathan Boothe. Jonathan has been with us in several episodes before. He's back with us for more this time. Jonathan, I'm assuming the last couple of days you've been with us nonstop, so I take it you're really feeling the stretch. I know you came from a hard day's work 2 days ago.
Yes,
actually. Is it improving?
Yeah, it is a whole lot. The only thing I just need to continue to work on is just my balance. That is it.
Your balance.
And also continue learning what areas to really work on. That way I could come about doing the stretches 100%, not halfway. But eventually I believe I'll get there.
Which is why it really helps to have someone like Radan explain to you what's happening when you do each of these stretches, because then you have that extra information and you're starting to think about the parts of the body that you're already working without realizing it.
Yes.
Right? Coming to Radan Sturm, our special guest. Radan, thank you once again for being here. We really appreciate your time and your expertise. And of course, you're a lot of fun to be with us here as well. So, Radan, help us understand just a quick recap of the last 2 episodes that we did. We did some standing stretches. We went through the basic 48 plus simple stretches that we normally do in our program anyway. Now, except for the balance postures, I remember we spoke off camera about balance. I said, I'm skipping all the balance postures, and you said, that's fine. What is it that we are not engaging in the balance postures, and why is it not that crucial as far as the body is concerned?
Well, I think you are engaging, but it's a little bit more difficult to focus on one element. So generally you have balance, which incorporates your ears, your middle ear.
Right.
And then from there you've got to keep whatever balanced position you're in. So you're involving usually 5, 6, 7, 10 muscle groups all at once. So to focus on all those muscle groups would be very confusing.
Right.
So basically you need to choose on one thing to focus on. Whereas when we do a seated position, it's very simple to lean back and feel a stretch in a certain part of the body.
Right.
And then you can focus it on that. So it's not necessarily that you're not able to focus on balance or you're not working specific muscles.
It's just you're not sure where
you're working a whole lot. So it makes it more difficult to focus.
Which is really good. It's right up the lane where we're talking about focus points. So there's not just one point that we can focus on.
Well, I think that's why generally when people do balance, they say to focus on one point on the ground.
Right.
Because then that becomes your focal point. Because if you start to think about one part of your body,
right,
it's not enough.
Very good reminder. In fact, that was precisely why in our postures we try to remind people to focus on something that doesn't move, focus on one point. So that focus is outside of the body. Whereas when we are talking about focus points here, where the mind goes, energy flows kind of thing, we're talking about inner focus.
Yeah, and to me that's what yoga is about.
That's true.
Because we can run on a treadmill, we can do boot camp classes, it's all externally driven. Whereas with yoga, you're actually going within.
Right. Yeah. And finding that one point. So here's what we're planning to do. For viewers out there, please stay with us for the rest of today. We'll take you through some seated postures, possibly some prone, as I mentioned. We're going to continue where we stopped yesterday. Now, before I forget, towards the end of the program, we run a little over, and we might run a little over today. So before I forget, I'd like to acknowledge our crew. Thanks so much to Richard Swanson, Roberta Espinel, and Drew Taylor. These episodes for Yogaxpress are taped in the studios of Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So if you want, and usually we are a walk-in show, we are a daily show. We air 5 days a week. We tape on average once or twice a month. Nowadays we are going to be doing maybe 3 times next month, but in the month of February, at the time of this taping, this is our second taping. We try to average once a week taping. So if you want to walk in, usually we tape on Monday. So feel free, this is a walk-in show. You can come stretch and get the benefit of experts like Radan, and you can also meet our wonderful guest here, Jonathan Boothe. So Radan and Jonathan, here's what I was planning. We'll start off with the posture that we actually got cut off. We finished our posture, but for the sake of our viewers, tuck your left heel under the right buttock. It's called the cow face posture. Don't ask me why. Cross the right foot over the left knee. This time you want to make sure that the soles of both your feet face the back of the room. And to be able to do that, at times you may have to bring the left foot forward just a little bit so that the right foot would go back a little deeper. That's where Radan comes in. He's going to tell me why my body doesn't allow me to stretch evenly on both sides, so both feet, because some people, their feet are nice and even on the side. So why is it that I'm not able to go as deep?
Do you mean when you flip it?
Yeah.
So,
on the other side I'm okay.
Yeah.
My feet are almost about the same level, but on this one I have to make an adjustment.
it's probably due to your tightness in a certain hip.
So hips do have one tight side?
Hip or glute or your butt. Generally
Right.
one will be tighter than the other depending on your posture day to day.
Oh.
If you sit on the couch slightly onto one side.
Now I'm gonna
Quite
watch
often if you've had an
myself.
ankle injury of some sort,
Right.
then
okay.
that hip starts to get weaker and tighter, and then that rotates the pelvis around.
Right.
So it can be
I'd
any
like to
number
pretend
of
like I'm
things.
a marathon runner. I've hurt my ankle, but nah. It's just my
Can't use that
hips.
excuse.
No excuse. And remember, those of you, if you're stretching with us, don't just stretch in your armchair. Stretch with us on the mat, on the floor. Just be sure you do your stretches every day. Now, left knee is up. Inhale the right knee is up. Inhale the left arm up. Sorry, it's the other arm. Opposite arm. Exhale. Dip your left palm at the base of your neck, and in case you have to fold over or bend your head down a little bit to accommodate your hand at the base of the neck, once you've made that connection, take your right hand behind. Once you've connected your fingers, you want to lift your chin up. So let's make that connection first. You might feel a little tighter on certain days. Once you made that connection, bring your left elbow closer to the ear, right shoulder goes down. And this is where you mentioned yesterday in the last episode, Radan.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about getting a bit of a shoulder stretch as well.
Yeah, the right shoulder, left tricep.
Left tricep and right shoulder. Hold it, lift your chin up, and keep breathing. Don't forget to breathe. That's something that's very important when we
For
are
life.
Exactly, breathe for life. I like that. Nice tagline. You're also focusing on the heart region in this posture, as we mentioned in the last episode. You focus on the heart region. Keep breathing. Inhale, release the hands, and then let's switch legs. Untangle the right leg, tuck your right foot under the left buttock. Cross your left foot over. Breathe for life. Nice tagline. Cross your left foot over, and this is what I was talking about, Radan. In this one, I don't have to make too much of an adjustment. I'm able to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, my guess is that your left
Okay.
hip and butt,
So does that mean
It's
I'm
not
sitting
as
too
tight.
much on my right side, or I'm sitting
Could
too
be.
much on my left side?
or every time you take a step up, you're leading with your right leg. Every time you take a step down, you're leading with your right leg.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it
So
could
now
just be dominant on that side.
I'm going to make a conscious effort, because one of my earliest yoga teachers, she mentioned something beautiful. She actually said, if you want to make a note of which foot you're putting more weight on,
Mhm.
just look at your footwear. The one that has
Yeah.
a deeper impress is the one you're putting more weight on. And since then, I've been trying to balance my weight on the other foot. So now I find I'm putting more weight on the left leg. So I'm
Now you have
actually
to flip
trying
it
now
again.
to flip it over. But it's good because it brings more of an awareness. So that's good to
right.
know. It's good to know. So I feel a little more comfortable. Left knee is up. Inhale the right arm up. Exhale, dip your right hand at the base of the neck and the back. Take your left hand from behind. Clasp the opposite fingers. And this also feels a little more comfortable. But in this one, even though I'm able to make the connection, I feel a little bit of a stretch. Well, it's a little bit of a discomfort in my, what do you call the obliques on the left side. Is that
Okay.
because I'm not doing it right? What am I doing wrong? Or maybe because I'm turning to face you.
Maybe.
Well, I'm just wondering, I should feel the stretch on the right side, right? I shouldn't
think
feel much.
on the right hand side of under the arm,
The
So the tricep,
Okay.
maybe even under the armpit, and then into the left hip.
Okay, that's where I
Because
feel on the just above
Probably not your left obliques or your back, but probably your hip.
hip. Yeah, that's where
Because
it is.
you've got
You're
this thigh close to your chest.
right. Got it. Okay. Okay. So to ease that, I can bring the knee out a little.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Or let the knee drop away from your chest a little bit.
Inhale, let's release the arms, and then we are going to very gently transition into the capote or pigeon posture. Swing the left leg all the way to the back. Now, if you're restricted for space at home, as we are over here in the studio sometimes, just be very careful. When you take your leg all the way back, you want to be sure, first of all, that you have enough room to take your leg all the way back, but if you don't, you just want to be very careful that you at least keep yourself aligned. Your hips are nicely centered. And in fact, traditionally, Radan, what we are supposed to do is really tuck the heel into the groin area. We actually sit. That helps us center ourselves. Whereas I know there are schools that actually also encourage us to bring the right foot forward, but we still have to center ourselves. Now help me understand, is that more dangerous? Because I find it a little uncomfortable.
It is more uncomfortable. Maybe not dangerous, but certainly more difficult.
So I'm not hyper, whatever.
Not really. You're starting to stretch a slightly different part of your hip.
Okay.
So there's a much smaller muscle that attaches the leg into your hip bone.
Right.
And the further you bring that foot forward, the more you're stretching into that little muscle.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when you bring you'll probably know the name. So when you bring
Yes.
that foot further forward, it makes it a more
So that-
isolated.
the tiny muscle over here. Okay.
It makes an isolated, painful kind of feeling stretch in the back of the
Right,
hip.
right.
Whereas if you bring the leg in, it's slightly better for your knee because there's less torsion and rotation.
Right,
And you
right.
should feel it more general. So I would probably advocate having the knee in.
Yeah,
like you
it
say,
actually
with
feels
the
better
hip
because
into the
that's
groin.
our focus is actually the pelvic region. It's
Yeah.
the Muladhara chakra, so maybe that's the
And then
reason
as you get
why.
more flexible, you can bring that foot forward.
Right, okay. So now we're going to try and fold over just to complete this posture, so in which case I think I find it a little better here to bring the foot forward just a little bit. Exhale and fold. Lead with the chest to get the most out of your body. Elbows are close to the body. Press with your palms. Inhale. Let's come up. I'm going to switch sides. Swing the left leg forward and very gracefully, there's no graceful way to do this, as gracefully as you can, take the right leg all the way to the back. So I'm going to try and align ourselves. So first I'm going to tuck my heel into the groin area because we're going to focus on the pelvic region, the Muladhara or base chakra. And then when I try to fold over, I'm going to bring my left foot out to the front. Now, when you're ready, you can very gently glide your left foot forward, exhale, and fold. Inhale, let's come up, press with your palms, let's come all the way up, and then glide. Bring your left heel to the center and then glide your right knee in. So you sit on both your heels. Take both hands behind you, hold on to the opposite elbows. This is a time if you want to feel a slightly deeper stretch, you might want to place both your palms together in what we call a reverse namaste. Now remember, you're going to fold over, so you want to be sure that you don't, that you press your palms in, but when you fold over, your palms shouldn't come undone. So if you feel that's going to happen, just keep your palms on your opposite elbows. Exhale and fold. Radan, explain to me why Jonathan is feeling this full stretch. What's happening here?
I think he's a little bit tight through the shoulders and the hips.
No, I meant for all of us, actually, not just him. So,
But it's a forward bend, so it should feel good for the lower back, but with the added element of having your hands behind you, pulling your shoulders back.
okay, this part.
So it's kind of opposing in the sense that you're leaning forward and rounding the spine, but yet you're pulling your shoulders back to extend the spine.
So kind of opposing forces, as I like to say. Inhale, let's come up. Exhale.
Which is quite hard to do.
Really? You mean inhale is hard to do? Which was coming up, you mean?
Not falling asleep.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Jonathan, when you're ready, you should talk about your role, but whenever you're ready, we won't make you do it just yet. You let us know. Jonathan is also an actor, so those of you agents out there, you want to contact him?
Yes.
Look him up, Jonathan Boothe. Google Jonathan. Bring both your legs out in front of you. Keep your feet flexed. And here's what we're going to do. And this is where, Radan, I really need extra input from you. I know you've already told us a lot. I find this posture really, really tough because I think my abdominals are not strong enough. Am I correct in assuming that when we bring our legs up, we're going to lift our legs up? So that's where we need to be strong, correct?
Abdominals and your hips.
The thighs?
The thighs, yeah, because remember the thighs run across the hip joint.
Okay.
So really, the stronger your thighs are, the more you can hold up there. So this is thighs and abdominals.
I find this is real torture.
And willpower.
Now, inhale. First, bring your arms up to shoulder height. Palms are facing in. And in this posture, I'm going to focus. And this is a good place for you to focus if you are not very strong in your abdominal area as well. You want to focus on the navel region. Inhale. Lift your legs up. So you may need to lean back just a little bit. And then hold it. Keep your abdominals nice and tight. Exhale. Very gently. Lower your legs down. And then I also feel it in my back.
Yeah. Well,
good?
I think it's not necessarily good, no. I would say that people should try and feel it
just
in their abdominals and in their legs.
I need to work.
So, adduction you could do is actually have the knees slightly bent.
Okay.
And then do exactly the same motion, but because you've decreased the distance from your feet away from the working muscle, it's not going to be as difficult.
So you mean
so
just
in this sense, you could do the same motion but keep your knees a little bit further bent.
Yeah, you're right.
And what it does, it just makes a little bit less pressure on the back, and you can focus on the abdominals. And as you get stronger, you can push out into it.
Your legs out. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to remember to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good idea to make adaptations as your body requires. So let's focus on the pelvic region in the next posture. Place both your feet, the soles of both your feet are facing each other. Bring your heels close to the groin area. And if you're comfortable, bring your knees all the way down. So when you hold on to your feet with both hands, your knees will come down even further. And if that's not going to come down all the way today, that's okay. You can place something under your knees. As you feel the stretch, you can also place something under your buttocks to actually give ourselves that height, forward. Right? So Radan, here's where I need to find out from you. I'm comfortable in this posture because I'm used to sitting on the floor. Is that one of the reasons why?
Well, I think also your groin and your adductors, the inside of the thigh, is not tight.
It's not tight.
No, so it's your knees pretty much on the ground.
Right.
Whereas Jonathan and mine are reasonably high up, which means reasonably tight in the groin.
Okay. So it's nothing to do with sitting on chairs.
It's a little bit to do with sitting on chairs because when you're sitting in chairs, this joint here is usually bent.
Right. Okay.
So you can tighten up your hips.
Stretching as much.
But really, for most men, we're not really ever stretching that area. Plus, our legs run into our hips in a slightly different angle to women.
Okay, we have wider hips.
Wider hips and a slightly different angle.
So
it's a little more flexible.
And generally slightly less muscle mass than men.
Okay.
Which means usually a little bit more flexible.
Flexibility. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So this is one.
But there's no excuse for us. We should be practicing this much more.
Just like there's no excuse for me in the both postures.
That's
we need to practice in that one. Let's complete this posture by folding over. Push your knees down with your elbows if your knees are up. Exhale and fold. If you feel a little bit of pain, that's okay. If you hear any rips and tears, please come out of the posture.
Pain is just weakness leaving the body.
Pain is weakness leaving. Someone is getting very philosophical here. Very nice. Inhale, press your feet in with your palms. Let's come up. Exhale, and let's come up on our haunches. Is that the right term? Haunches? We're going to come up in a seated squat. So you're going to sit down, bring your heels closer than your toes, press your palms in, push your knees out with your elbows, and you want to try and keep your heels down on the mat. Focus again is on the pelvic region, but also we focus a little higher in the navel area. It does need a little bit. And Jonathan, if you want for this one, roll your mat up if you want to give yourself some space under the heels.
We can't keep it like this. That's not good.
Not a good idea not to have any connection. So you want to stay connected with either the floor or the body.
Okay.
And that way you're resting on something. Feeling better?
Yes.
So the idea also is to keep the energy when we're in a seated squat, especially if you're on your toes. First thing, it's a question of balance, but the other thing too, when you don't connect with something, either to complete the circuit of electricity that we talk about, the arc of energy, you want to keep that contact, even if it means rolling up your mat. So feel free, use whatever help you need. Push your knees up.
There it goes.
Keep holding. Inhale very gently. We're going to release. Extend your legs out in front of you. And I'm going to extend my mat out as well. Bring your legs out. Keep your feet flexed. And for this one, we're going to do a little bit of a side twist. So bring both palms. Keep your feet flexed. Legs are extended. Both palms to the right side of your hip. Exhale. And before we proceed to fold over, Radan, in that seated squat, it did require some balance if your heels are off the mat, but other than that, we're getting a good pelvic stretch. So it's very similar to the previous one?
Similar, yeah, very similar.
Because we actually also move our focus point to the navel area, from the pelvic region to the navel. So would it help us to engage our abdominal?
Yeah, your deeper abdominal muscles.
That'll help us hold the balance?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's probably why I'm trying to find a connection between our focus points and the anatomy part of it. So
yeah, I think any balance position, which that one is an element of balance,
right.
When you think about activating your abdominals and your deeper abdominals, helps with balance.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I think the focal point might be the same mentally and physically on that one.
Right. Okay, that helps. Now exhale and fold. Make sure you keep your hips down. Your left hip is down. Keep folding as deep as you can. And Radan, go for it. Because I'm feeling a stretch, but I'm also feeling too much of a compression on my right side.
Yeah, I think because it's a side bend, essentially, and some rotation. The side that we're leaning towards is going to get a little bit of contraction, and you're feeling your hip bone probably digging into your side. Whereas on the left side, in this case, we're really getting a nice stretch through the side of the hip and the lower back.
Okay. So even if when we keep our hip down is when we get more of a stretch on the left side, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Inhale, let's come up. Let's twist to the other side. Both palms on the left side. Notice how we are workshopping these postures for you, so we are holding it much longer, but if you're stretching with us at home, feel free, hold it as long as you can. Exhale and dip. Make sure your feet are flexed. Keep your feet where they are. Keep your hips where they are. Keep your right hip down. Inhale. Let's come up and let's turn over into prone position. We're all going to turn to face the camera. Now, even though I did not mention, and the reason I didn't mention, none of us went all the way down in the last posture. If you are able to go all the way down, I guess, Radan, you went fairly deep, right?
But if I had have gone further, my hips would have rotated up.
Right, without moving the hip. The focus would have been the eyebrow center, but because we didn't go all the way down, I was not able to bring my focus to the eyebrow center. But if you're able to go deeper, keep your focus on the middle of the eyebrows. So let's all come in prone position. We're going to actually bring, and this one you want to be very careful, be safe, keep your toes curled in. Palms are directly below the shoulders. Chest is on the mat. Chin is on the ground on the mat. As we inhale, we're going to lift our buttocks up. And in order to do that, we'll have to wiggle our toes. Glide our toes closer to the knees. Glide the knees closer to the chest. So we're trying to lift our buttocks without moving the rest of the body. This is Ashtanga Namaskara. 8 contact points with the mat, with the floor. Well, really, the philosophical way or whatever the gentle way is 8 contact points with the earth. Now inhale and very gently glide your toes in. So you lift your buttocks up. Radan, help me understand which would be a nice comfortable way to lift the buttocks up, because I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I don't think there's any comfortable way with this position. It is pretty much as awkward as it looks.
Inhale. So is it helping me in any way at all, this posture?
I don't know.
I think from a purely physical standpoint, I don't see that much.
All right, then we're going to get out.
It's working your hips a little bit, but in a very awkward way.
I find I have to tighten this part, the part that you call abdominals, to keep my buttocks up.
Okay.
Because I'm in a lot of pain. And you're right, it's not very comfortable. So we kind of extend our legs out behind us. So even though the focus point over there is the navel, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I feel that this part has to be away from the floor, because we focus on the navel.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to know whether I have to work my abdominals.
You would definitely have to work them in that position.
To lift them really high, right? Okay, that's good to know, because I need to work on that. Now, keep your palms where they are, your legs are out, stretched out. We're going to press with the palms, tighten your buttock muscles, inhale and lift. Radan, you gave a beautiful explanation for this one last time. You also gave us an adaptation.
I
You wanna
did?
go? Yeah, you said. You talked about, help us understand first of all, we are definitely working the back, right? This
Definitely.
one?
Well, it depends how much weight you have on your hands compared to
Right.
not. So the less weight on the hands, the more the lower back has to work to keep your chest off the floor. The
Okay.
more weight on the hands, the more the shoulders and triceps are working to hold you up.
Okay, so if we use our back, to use our back, we have to tighten the buttock muscles.
That's right, and you use less weight on the hands.
Okay, that's
You
when
can
we
feel
try and
that.
take the... So the focus is on the lower back on this one for obvious reasons. And if you take your palms off, then you notice that you will be using your back. So that's where we test the strength of our back. Palms back on the mat.
So a good way to start is with your hands only,
Right.
because your back's still going to be working a little bit. But then as you develop the strength, then you less and less weight on the hands.
I noticed when I was doing what you was doing, about taking my hands off the mat, it was hard for me to breathe.
Yeah.
It is hard, and
'cause
also you've
I
got
felt
your
if I would
toes
have breathed,
curled.
yeah, if I would have breathed, I would have not be able to keep my balance.
The other thing you want to do is, I noticed you had your toes curled in. See, the other thing what we tend to do is press with the tops of the feet, just like a snake would press
Yeah.
with the tail to come up.
Well, that activates your glutes a little bit, probably.
Maybe that's what I was looking for. Okay, so it does work the back lower. Now you're talking about glutes as in buttock muscles. Palms back on the mat. We're going to make a little fist with our palms. So tuck your thumbs into your palm, curl your fingers over, place it in the groin area to protect yourself. So if you've got any jewelry, this is a good time to take it off. I'm going to take off my fancy watch here. And then what we're going to do is keep your chin on the mat. And Radan, this one also, once again we focus on the low back. But this one also is intended, even though we're focusing on the low back, I find myself cheating just a little bit because I'm using my thighs to help bring the legs up. Inhale, keep your chin down. Inhale, lift your knees off of the mat. Now, what am I working? If you can't speak while you're in position, feel free.
Speak. This one is working your buttocks,
Okay.
a little bit of the back of the legs, the hamstrings, and your lower back.
The buttocks, I can feel. Low back, I feel a little bit. Oh, the back of the legs, you said hamstrings.
Back of the legs,
Got it.
hamstrings, and your lower back,
Got it, got it.
and
Okay.
primarily your buttocks.
So I've got to strengthen my butt to hold myself up. Exhale and release. Bring your arms out in front of you. Both palms out. Palms are facing in. Keep your legs extended. And in this one, what we're going to do is